guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Alizea and I'm here for Black Transsexual. Get up into the big prayer or whatever. Y'all, we are back with some content. You already know, boom shakalaka, I'm pushing out this content for y'all. Bada bing, bada boom. Today's video is gonna get very controversial. I know you guys seen the title. Now y'all might be like, girl, what are we gonna get into? I need you guys to like, comment, and subscribe before we get into today's video, girl. And grab your snacks, because things are gonna get messy, things are gonna get real, and I'm gonna wake some shit up. So bada bing, bada boom. So, hi loves, my name is Alizea. I'm your favorite Black transsexual. If you haven't met me already, girl, I'm going to be talking about Detransitioners today because, you know, I have nothing else to do, and, you know, I've seen an influx on, you know, Detransitioners and, you know, them now being the face of the trans community, and they're representing the trans community. Oh, it got to stop today. It got to stop today. So, yeah, grab your snacks because, girl, I'm going to wake it up. So the first point that I'm going to start off with this video is, like, what is a trans woman? In my eyes, a trans woman is a individual who is, you know, who has gender dysphoria and doesn't, you know, resonate with the gender who they are or who they were born as. And I know I'm stuttering already. Just listen, hear me out, okay? You know, on what I'm trying to add on to this is, like, you know, if you have, you know, severe gender dysphoria and you're very insecure with what you see in the mirror, I've always said that sometimes you just have to be very delusional with who you are as a trans person. Me as a trans person, you know, I started off as, you know, a very insecure person. I didn't like my facial features. I didn't like being Black. I didn't like being a trans woman. I didn't like to be who I am now today. Like, I wasn't as confident. I wasn't as beautiful. I wasn't, you know, Alizea, let's per se. I wasn't the beautiful Alizea that y'all know today. You get what I mean? You get what I mean? So what I'm going to say is, like, you know, I've had to take time to learn myself, and I had to take time to sit over here and study who I am as a trans woman. And that's what we're going to get into in the next point. I've had to sit over here and face my childhood trauma, and I've had to sit over here and personally deal with my insecurities and see why I feel this way, why I don't like this, why I don't like that. And you know, I've always tried to sit over here and personally figure out what's going on in my head so I can solve what's going on, instead of sitting over here trying to sit over here and suppress how I feel and suppress my insecurities and suppress, you know, what I'm dealing with, all the trauma that I'm dealing with. You get what I mean? You get what I mean? But that's what I was saying, girl. I feel like a trans woman. I've always felt like a trans woman. But when you're in this generation and when you're in society and living as your true self in society, like, a lot of people will tell you how to, you know, dress, how to present, how to transition, how to do this, how to do that. I say this a lot. Like, a lot of people don't know who they truly are, and they're only doing what they're doing based off of other people's validation, trying to get validated by other people, saying, you know, does this dress look good on me? Does this look good on me? Does my hair look right? Should I do this? Should I do that? Just do what makes you feel happy. And that's something as a trans woman that I've had to understand, and I've had to sit over here and comprehend, and I just had to, you know, learn to love myself. A lot of people go through dramatic measures to sit over here and try to achieve something that they deem will cure their insecurities. They deem that will cure their childhood trauma and cure all the things that they're, you know, hating about themselves in their head. When I say this a lot of people need to go to therapy. How can you sit over here and be trans and want to transition, but you're not going through therapy? You have to constantly go through therapy, even after you successfully transition, even after all the surgeries and all the things that you get. You still have to sit over here and figure out other things about yourself that you didn't know or that you needed to learn. And a lot of people sit over here and beat themselves up over, you know, sitting over here trying to, you know, how do I per se things that they don't like about each other, things that they don't like about themselves. Like, girl, like, all these FFS, these BBLs, these bottom surgeries and all this other stuff will not cure everything that you hate about yourself. You have to be the one to sit over here and love yourself. And a lot of people sit over here and go through dramatic measures to sit over here and try to, you know, look passable. And I say this a lot as a trans person. I am transgender, so I don't care if I look like a woman or I look like a man. And lately, you know, I started to, like, look more clocky than usual, which is like, okay, like, who really cares if I look clocky, because I'm transgender. I can't change who I was born as. Like, I'm Alizea. I was born a biological male, but I live my life as a trans woman. You get what I mean? I understand that, you know, all the things that I hate about myself, I just have to understand that I'm broke. Like, I'm BROKE. So I can't control if I don't look a certain way or I don't fit the certain beauty standard, because I don't have money. I don't have those type of resources. So I had to just adapt and just keep carrying on. And I feel like a lot of us need to do that. I feel like a lot of us just need to suck it up sometimes and just keep pushing through, because if you can push through the little tiniest things, you can push through the big things. And when you can push through the big things, you can always get to the things that you want. And just, you can prevail in life if you can always sit over here and keep going, even when times get hard, literally. Because in my eyes, being trans isn't to sit over here and pass and look a certain way. I say being trans is to sit over here and truly love yourself and to truly be as confident and just live in the moment. You're supposed to live in a moment with life, because you only get one life, and I will always preach this. Do what makes you happy. Don't do what other people are telling you to do. Do what makes you comfortable. And that's the issue with this whole community. A lot of people don't want to do what they want to do. They're doing stuff based off of other people's judgment. Stop caring what other people think about you. And so getting into this, I want to add to context that I said is loud and proud. Like, when you're on hormones for a long period of time, a lot of people think that, your body will, naturally go back to its natural form if you get off of the hormones and stuff like that. And this is why we have a lot of detransitioners now. And this is why, we're starting to get into the real topic of this video. A lot of these transitioners regret transitioning medically because, they can't go back to who they were born as. And I'm using very much quotation marks when I'm speaking, because I want a lot of people to understand the climax and the problem with this topic and the problem with this whole, idea of a detransitioner. Like, let's get into the controversialness. I say this loud and proud that a lot of people need to socially transition before they medically transition, because you don't know who you truly are, and you don't know the side effects of what, could happen to you while you're medically transitioning. And I know there's a lot of people who might be like, yay, just go and transition medically. You can always detransition. Like, you can always just, sit over here and, just say that you're not trans anymore. It's okay. We still gonna support you. Da, 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 da. Love, let's be realistic, honey. I say this a lot, and I'm going to use a lot of terms that are very loosely and a lot that could offend people. I'm not trying to be offensive. I'm just gonna throw it out there. But trans men, okay, let's say trans men who are born biological females, okay, right, but they're transitioning into men. Okay, listen, testosterone is a very powerful how do I say, hormonal, okay, or whatever, right? That hormonal shot and that hormonal pill that you're on constantly, I want a lot of people to understand that can do drastic measures. I was born a biological male, so I know exactly what I'm talking about. I have testosterone going throughout my system without hormones, okay, right? So I was born a biological male, and I grow facial hair. I have a, I have a high-pitched voice, but for others, they don't have a high-pitched voice or whatever, right? What I'm basically trying to say, when you're transitioning as a trans man, your voice gets deeper. You start to have facial hair. You start to, more of, per se, like, you start to look like a guy. And a lot of people don't understand that you can't just sit over here and reverse the things that happen with your life. Like, there's clips like these that we see constantly of these trans men sitting over here saying that they regret their transition because of this.
Out of my haircut, because my hair was driving me nuts. And I shaved it because I'm tired of watching my hair thin out, and it's less distressing if I shave it. So when I talk about being too far gone, I don't really know what else to call it. This is what I mean. This is how deep my voice is. It's gotten deeper over time, and it's settled. This is what I mean by hair loss. And it just keeps getting worse. It keeps thinning. It keeps receding backwards. And I'm not exactly sure that's coming back. Those are the main things when I talk about being androgenized to a point of no return. I really don't see those being fixable. So that's when I talk about just kind of staying how I am, regardless of how I feel. That's why, just because I don't really see me personally being able to come back from what's happened so far.
I recently detransitioned, probably like a month and a half ago. And I've been actively living, detransitioned into a woman for like 2 days now. And just the search looking for information for like videos. Cause I mean, when I figured just like, well, maybe I detransition, I looked it up, and there's YouTube videos out there, and there's a lot of good content, but I couldn't find any of the answers or things that people were talking about for things that I wanted to know. I was never uncomfortable with my gender. I was uncomfortable with, I'd say, my relationships with other people, which
goes back to the other people thing. That is always such a red flag. And I'm so glad we're seeing that sort of common thread and we can just show you guys so clearly. That is the thing. It can't be about other people.
I have 2 giant scars across my chest that remind me every day that I was butchered by the institutions that we all thought we could trust. I went to my surgeon because I was desperate for answers, and he just told me, it's fine. That's completely normal. Just put Vaseline over it, which didn't make sense to me, but I thought that because nothing else was working, I might as well try it. That gave me a skin infection. It hasn't healed at all, and the wound, whatever it is actually spreading across my chest. I have no clue what's going on. I have nowhere to turn because I no longer have any trust in Kaiser Permanente, and I can't afford treatment out of pocket. I wish I could have my brain back, but a reconstruction may be riddled with even more complications, and no matter what, I will never be able to breastfeed my future children.
I'm 18 years old, and I am a woman who has detransitioned. I am actively suing Kaiser Permanente, and I'm suing the doctors that gave me those treatments related to my transition.
I think you're one of the youngest detransitioners other than myself that I know of, and you actually started transitioning a year earlier than I did, and 2 years before I got my vasectomy. You were 12 when you started testosterone blockers, right?
Yeah.
Blockers.
Initially, yeah, they started me on Lupron, and then they put me on testosterone.
You got your mastectomy at 13, just a few years after you started puberty. And that makes me upset personally. How do you feel about that? What's it like dealing with that?
It's very conflicting. But honestly, I'm very upset that it was done to me so young, and also not to mention in a headspace where I just shouldn't have been able to make those kind of decisions. You know, I actually had never seen like a diagram of like the organ and like the lactation, like organs, like the glands and all that until really recently. I saw a diagram. They never showed anything like that to me, and they really watered it down and just called it top surgery, not a radical.
Not a double mastectomy.
Double mastectomy, what it was, right?
Flabbergasted. First off, Lupron. Ain't that the drug? We're gonna look this up real quick. Ain't that the drug they give senders? Lupron, also known as lupulide acetate, is a drug that's been used as chemical castration treatment for sex offenders. Y'all giving offender drugs to children who are 12.
Hey y'all, it's Alizea. So while I'm editing this video, I did not know that was a thing. That was, oh my god, y'all, I did not know that was, oh my god. I'm speechless. Like, I was so speechless right now. I'm gonna do a unpopular opinions video, and I'm gonna go deeper onto that because, girl, oh my god, now I'm gonna have to actually say something. But girl, this is why I say you need to do research before you just sit over here and do something that can change your whole life, like change your whole life and the trajectory of your life. I'm not saying hormones are bad. You don't need to be taking hormones and all this other stuff. Do what makes you happy. If you feel like medically transitioning is what's going to make you happy, do it because you want to do it. Don't do it because, you know, Miss Alizea on them or Nikita Dragon on them or you see your bestie on them. Girl, do it because you want to do it. And then also, I'm telling y'all, you will never be able to sit over here and reach the top of the mountain. Y'all, the experiences that I be experiencing, ooh, you ain't going to get them experiences. I'm sorry. You just going to be a pillow princess, girl. That's why I be feeling bad for some of y'all. Y'all don't get to experience life. I say this a lot, like a lot of people really need to sit over here and find themselves. This is why I say a lot of people really need to go on self-healing journeys and self-love journeys because you don't know who you are. Like, a lot of people are trying to, like I keep saying, oh my God, I don't want to get ignorant and, you know, very rude when I say this, but a lot of people are seeking out validation from others. Why don't you love yourself? I say this a lot, like a lot of people really need to go to therapy. I'm the type of person where I'm my own therapist, but if I do need to go to therapy, I will go do that, like if it gets to that point. But I've become very mature and open when it comes to taking my time in my transition and not rushing to go do drastic measures to please other people. Like, I say this a lot, like a lot of trans women who, you know, attack me and attack my transition, say that I look like a man, I need to dress like a woman, I need to present as a woman, they're coming from my looks and stuff like that. A lot of people don't understand that I'm black. Okay, number one, I'm black. Number two, I'm broke. So You know, you trying to sit over and put me on this high pedestal. Oh, girl, I'm broke. I'm a broke trans woman. Number 3, let me sit over here and tell you something. I live in a state where, you know, it being trans is very much illegal now, okay? Okay, so let's get into the 4th and last and final thing that I'm going to keep saying. I'm black, I'm trans, and I'm beautiful. I don't have to prove anything to any and everybody, okay? I already know who I am. I'm Alizea. I keep saying it. I'm black, I'm trans, and I'm beautiful. You had to repeat to yourself who you are. You had to repeat to yourself that you know who you are and you need to stand in who you are.
Wake it up. Wake it up.
Some people just need help. Some people need a hug. Like, some people really need to just get hugs, and somebody needs to tell them that they love them, because a lot of people are trying to seek out validation from others. I want to keep saying this, like, I'm not an accessory. I'm not just some glamorized, you know, bada bing, bada boom. Like, I'm a human being. I'm a human being with feelings. I tell all my dogs is that you're not ugly. And a lot of people go to drastic measures to try to get enhancements and stuff like that. There's complications with every surgery, and that's something that a lot of trans people in this community do not talk about. But I guess, you know, I'm gonna be the trans person to talk about it. Take time in your transition. You're not ugly, you're just broke. And I want to say that message loud and clear. You're not ugly, you're just broke. And a lot of people might be like, what are you talking about? Everybody has the same 24 hours as Beyonce. So what you do with your life, I will constantly say that. What you do with your life, that's on you, okay? You want to sit here and lay in bed and be depressed. You want to sit over here and cry about this. You want to sit over here and do that. Stop living for everybody else, okay, honey? Life is not going to be easy, okay? Okay. I will say this loud and clear. Like, I know that there's times where I look like a man. I know there's times where I look a mess. I know there's times where it's not given what it's supposed to be given. I'm not going to beat myself up over it and be like, oh my God, Alizea, you need to fix this. You need to fix that. Who cares if I look like a man? I'm broke. I'm a broke transsexual. I can't glamorize myself and compare myself to all these trans women who have surgeries and compare myself to all my peers and be like, why are my friends sitting over here up here and I'm down here? Or why are my friends there and I'm not here? Like, I can't do that. I'm in my own path and I'm in my own trans journey, and I had to realize that very young. And I had to sit over here, and I'm going to add a little 2 cents in. When my mother flipped over and died, it made me really open up on why I need to sit over here and love myself even more, because you only get one life. So if you're constantly trying to chase other people and you're constantly trying to prove to your friends that you're this way, that you're that way, you know who you are. If you're transgender, stand on it. And I feel like every time we hear a detransition story, it always becomes a hot topic in the worst way possibly, because a lot of uneducated people think this speaks volume for the whole community when it doesn't. Like, it makes me so mad, and I hate to sit over here and see that, because detransitioners are human beings, and I'm going to be 100% for real. This is not an attack on detransitioners. If you think I'm going to make a video on attacking detransitioners, no, these are human beings with feelings, and their feelings are valid. They didn't have people to sit over here and, you know, hold their hand and say, sugar, take time to stop trying to force yourself and do this to do that. Just take time to yourself. Learn yourself. You need to learn how to love yourself and, you know, move throughout society socially first before you medically transition and medically do all these enhancement things. Because what if you regret that? And I say this loud and proud. I don't want to cut off my princess wine until I'm 30 or 40 years old. And a lot of people might be like, 30 or 40, girl, that's old. Girl, let me tell you something. You still got a long time in your life. You still got a while. If you're 30 years old watching this video, girl, I'm telling you, you still got a long time in your life. You still got so much time to do whatever you want in this world, because you only get one life, okay? So use it wisely. I want to have kids. This is the main reason why I'm really hesitant on getting on hormones, because I know when you get on hormones, you can't just sit over here and like reach the top of the mountain. When you reach the top of the mountain, it comes out clear. It doesn't come out like, I don't want my video to get demonetized. So it's like I said, I hear a person out because I might not agree with everything that that person is saying, but you have to try to be an understanding person, because one day you could be in their shoes. You can't judge a book by its cover. You get what I mean? And I might come off as ignorant. I might come off as, you know, hostile. I might come off as ghetto and, you know, ratchet, but I try my hardest to just be an open-minded person. I'm sorry for my stuttering, but it's a very complex topic to talk about a detransitioner, because I'm not a detransitioner. I don't go through what they go through. And I also want to keep saying that, you know, there's times where I see detransitioners and they're always saying that they were trying to please other people, and there's clips like these.
I had no idea even what being transgender was, what a trans person was, until I saw it online and I saw it on TV. And when I was 12, 13 years old, that was when the TLC show wasn't out, but Jazz Jennings was doing interviews. I immediately saw myself in her shoes, and then seeing how the discussion of a girl's brain and a boy body at 12 years old, I don't know why it clicked with me. And that was something that I just felt aligned with, especially because I was always around girls. I liked all the things that the girls were doing.
I mean, hell, I thought I was. When I first realized that I was gay, I was like, oh snap, that means I'm supposed to be a girl because girls like guys. Thankfully, I didn't have like crazy liberal parents. And I didn't feel the need to be like, oh my gosh, I'm a girl. But like, that is a reality for some gay men. They kind of get confused. And again, when you're in that age, that awkward age of like 10 to 15, 16, that's when you're really figuring out who you are, the things you like, and you're going through puberty, so many different changes. And that's not the place to be making drastic, lifelong decisions. It's just not.
Girls were doing. And so it just kind of made sense the way it was portrayed to me.
Right.
Yeah. And it really convinced me that that was me.
Jazz has had a very difficult surgical course. She had a very incredible first surgery. It went seemingly very well, but there were problems.
Taking Jazz on as a patient for surgery, we knew it was going to be a one-of-a-kind surgery. She's one of the first to have undergone complete pubertal suppression. I was just not expecting her to have a complication as severe as what she did have.
The stitches started coming apart. How likely do you think that's going to happen again?
It's always possible.
And that's one of the things that kills me the most. It's like, okay, this is the one of kind of surgery. I can't believe we're doing this. We're changing someone's sex like far before puberty. How did you not expect things to happen? Hello? See, I feel like I'm going crazy to think that this is the wrong thing to do, but it's like I'm not being, no one's being hateful here. You're an adult, transition as an adult, but the fact that this little girl...
I did take hormones. I took them for a little over a year, and I actually had my approval letter to get top surgery, and I was working on scheduling that, which is when I decided it wasn't what I wanted anymore. And it was a really scary time. I was scared.
Well, good for you. Imagine if you would have gone through... I remember a while ago, there was a picture of someone on Twitter that went viral. It was like a young girl who moved her breast. I think she was 14 or 15. It was a picture of her posing with her surgeon. And I remember there are people saying this is a mistake, I feel bad for her. And then all the trans activists in the replies were saying, what do you mean? She can always get breast implants. It's like, those aren't breasts, those are breast implants.
Scared I was going to lose everything. My partner who I met identified as a gay man. So I was afraid that if I detransitioned, he wouldn't want to be with me anymore, which wasn't true. He's been my rock during all of that because that was such a hard time. Testosterone's a really powerful hormone.
Testosterone is very powerful, and it's actually much more powerful than estrogen in many ways, and a lot of the effects from it are much more permanent than the effects of estrogen for male to female. People don't know that.
I passed as a man fairly well, and I navigated life as a man fairly well. So having to rediscover navigating life as a female and trying to look feminine again was super difficult. And it's still hard now. When your voice drops from taking testosterone, it doesn't go back. And that's something I really struggle with. I used to love singing, but the way testosterone affected my voice, I don't like how I sound when I sing anymore.
That sucks.
Socially, it's such a hard thing to do because you already feel like you have to justify being trans to begin with. And then so when you change your mind, it feels like all that justifying you did was just lying or not being genuine.
That's what I would assume is a lot of the times we focus on the permanent bodily changes and physical changes, but we don't talk about how crazy it must be to socially transition and to get people on board and then to go back. Oh my God.
It's crazy to see those videos because it just proves to the point where I keep saying that you need to have self-love and self-esteem when you transition. Because I say this a lot. People are always going to tell you what to do with your life. People are always going to suggest that you should detransition, that you should just be a man, and you should just do this, just do that because you don't pass. Who cares if you don't pass? Who cares if you don't look the most beautiful? I don't care if I look like a man. If it gives man, it gives man. If it gives woman, it gives woman. Whatever it gives, that's what it gave. I'm Alizé. I know who I am. I was born with a purpose. I was born to sit over here and, prove to myself and to prove to other people, not even to prove to other people, just to live my life for me. I love myself and I love to be myself flamboyantly. I know I feel like that's a privilege to love yourself and to have self-love because I feel like a lot of people don't know what self-love is. You have to go on a self-love journey. You have to sometimes take time off of social media, take time away from your friends to just ghost people and to learn yourself. I'm trying to read books. I'm trying to learn new things. I'm trying to learn new tricks in life because I want to sit over here and experience life for what it is. There's so much out in this world. There's so much out in your city. There's so much out in this country, in this whole globe of the rock, like bada bing, bada boom. There's just so much in this world, and I just really want to do what makes me happy, and you should do what makes you happy. You shouldn't be looking for external validation, because I keep saying you shouldn't transition for a guy, you shouldn't transition for a girl, you shouldn't transition because your friends are telling you to do that. You should do it because that's what makes you happy. And you're going to end up in an unhappy situation because you realize this isn't what I really wanted to do, and now I'm finding that I really didn't want to do that, and now you're looking very, well, per se, dumb. I'm sorry to say it. I'm not sugarcoating it. You're going to look dumb. And I will continue to say this, like, why don't people sit over here and do research before they sit over here and act on it? Like, you need to sit over here and think before you do it. Like, a lot of people are just doing it based off somebody sitting over here giving them the clear. Like, do you really want to do this? Do you really think this is going to fix your gender dysphoria? Do you really think this is going to fix your insecurities? I said this before, and I will say it again. Go to a real therapist. Not no gender dysphoria therapist. You need to go to a therapist. A psychiatric therapist, or however you say them things that be messing with them brains, girl. You need to go to a therapist. Because what if you aren't really trans and you're just very insecure because you don't like that you're sitting over here looking like a butch queen or some stuff like that? Girl, I know I'm throwing out these harmful words, but it's serious that nobody is really like talking about this, because it's like we see detransitioners all the time, the delusional ones that say that God has saved them and God has, helped them and God, showed them the path to detransition. You can't suppress who you are. You can't suppress that you're gay. You can't suppress who you are. If you're a homosexual, you better own it to be a homosexual. Own it. If you're a transsexual, own it being a transsexual. You can't suppress who you are. But if you feel like you personally don't feel this way, then sit over here and take time before you sit over here and get into it based off of peer pressure. That's the problem with some of these guys, and that's the problem with some of this community, girl. Let me get out of here, girl. You should transition only if you're uncomfortable with your gender and not because of your appearance. Like, you should really take time to understand yourself. This is why there's therapists that ask, so when did you feel like this? When did you feel like that? I feel like they should go deeper into those questions, like actually talk about your childhood trauma, because I feel like childhood trauma really plays a part into your transition. And I'm gonna make a whole video on this, separately, but I feel like childhood trauma really plays a part in your transition, because for me as a trans woman, I would go seek male validation and I would go give myself out to these men, go give out my body to these men because I didn't get the love that I wanted at home, and I would try to sit over here and get pleased by another man when I really just needed to love myself. And I'm always chasing a high. I'm always chasing to be loved and seeked out by a man when I could just do that by myself. Like, if I really want to go to Pound Town, I can, go to Pound Town with my beautiful, plastic princess wand in my cabinet. Like, if it's that serious, it's, girl, what?
She just appears to be just a little bit ghetto to me.
You gotta love yourself in this world, and I will always say that. You can't just sit over here and hop label to label and do this and do that and, try to, find yourself, because I say this now, you need to take time, breathe, breathe in, breathe out, live life, breathe there, and one day you're gonna get there. I just want people to sit over here and not get on the internet and see all these other trans people telling you how to live your life and do that. Do what makes you happy. Don't listen to other people. And this is the problem with all these detransitioners. Now, they were listening to other people. Your story and your journey is valid. I understand where you're coming from. But it gets to a certain point where now us as trans people are, kind of side-eyeing you, because it's like, why didn't you transition for you? You were transitioning to please other people. You can't just sit over here and say that you weren't, because you were. And I'm not trying to come off as ignorant. I don't mean to come off as ignorant, but that's just the way that I see it. You were never trans to begin with, because if you were truly trans, you wouldn't have detransitioned. You would have kept fighting through. There's times where I looked like a man, literally the past week, not really uploading. In the past week, I've gotten on camera with my unpopular opinions video. I will look back and I'll be like, "Ooh, girl, you kind of look like a butch queen. You kind of look a little dusty, but it's okay, girl." I keep saying, I'm broke. I'm a broke transsexual. So if it gives man, it gives man. If I look like a man, I look like a man. When I go out to this world and I look ugly, there's times where I'm going to get clocked. There's going to be times where people are going to look at me like, "Ooh, girl, you look a mess." But it's not the end of the world. You just got to keep living. You just got to keep pushing. There's no point in sitting over here crying and sitting over here complaining and talk about, why don't I look beautiful, why don't I look like this, this? Why don't I look like that? Why am I this? Why am I that? Just live life. Just keep pushing and just keep doing what makes you happy. I'm going to keep doing what makes me happy because I'm already secure enough in my transition. I'm already secure enough in my identity. So when somebody asks me what is a woman, I already let them know I don't know what a woman is because I'm a trans woman. I stand in my transition. I will always constantly preach that. You know who you are, so why do you need to please other people? Why do you need to explain yourself to other people? I'm black and I'm trans and I'm beautiful, and I will always stand on that. I love being my beautiful black trans self. Look at me, like I'm beautiful and I'm black. I got black features. Like I just look black and I look like a black trans person. Like sometimes I do love looking trans because it's like, girl, you already know who I am. Like being trans is just so monumental and it's just so beautiful. And if I ever do become famous, I'm going to loudly speak on my trans self. Like I love being a beautiful black trans person because being trans is so beautiful to me. Like it's just so beautiful. I wouldn't want to be anything different. I wouldn't want to lie and sit over here and say that I'm not trans, you know, I'm a woman. I wouldn't say that. I will always say that I'm a trans woman. A lot of people will side-eye me and say, why do you always say that you're a trans woman? You're a real woman. You're this, you're that. It's not that I don't feel like I'm a real woman. I'm a trans woman. I'm a different form of a woman. Yes, I was born a biological male, but I live my life as a trans woman. I will always say that. My mother gave birth to me. My mother made sacrifices to me. My mother sat over here and did a lot of things that, you know, I personally would never go through to sit over here and raise me. I don't want to cry, so let me pause. But I will constantly say this. I don't go through what real women go through. I don't go through what biological women, what cis women go through. I don't go through what they go through. I go through what Alizea goes through. Alizea is a trans woman. I will constantly preach this. You have to understand that you were trans. You have to understand that you are trans, and there's nothing that you can do that's going to change your trans identity. Just embrace it. No matter, like, why are you trying to, like, oh my God. I'm finna get controversial when I say this, but I don't care. Why are you trying to chase a man like when you need to be chasing somebody who's going to actually love you and understand you for you? Like if, how do I say this? A man is going to truly like you and love you authentically if he's really interested in you. You shouldn't sit over here and chase a man who's only going to want to sit over here and deal with you at nighttime, deal with you when you're in a car, deal with you when nobody's around. You're not an object. You're not a creature. You're not some freaking creature monster. You're not a monster. You're a human being. You're a human being with feelings. And what made me realize that I'm not an object was like my past story times, girl. I used to be doing story times for the Lord. Like, girl, I used to be popping that twat, girl, back in the day, girl. But I'm slowing down. I'm really on this spiritual journey where I'm realizing, like, these guys only want one thing, and they only want to use me for my body. They don't care about Alizea as the human being. They don't care about Alizea as the trans woman. All they care about is Alizea with the princess wine and Alizea with the polo stick, and they don't care about nothing. And I see a lot of trans women sit over here and get on the internet, complain, talk about, why is this man trying to play in my face? This man keeps blocking me and ghosting me. You're dealing with the DL trait. Of course he's gonna block you. Of course he's gonna ghost you. Of course he's not gonna sit over here and, you know, show you off and sit over here and dibble and dabble with you in public because he's DL. Why are you messing with a DL? He sees you as a man with a Lord, he just sees you as a man. He doesn't see you as a woman. He doesn't see you as a human being. He only sees you as a fetish. He only sees you as a good time. This is why you need to sit over here and love yourself. And when I was messing with this one guy or whatever, right, I asked him, like, you know, I was like, why do you like me or whatever, right? Because I was still trying to, like, fathom the fact that this guy liked me or whatever. He was like, it's something about you that just makes me, like, happy. This is what he said in quotations. He basically said that, you know, you are very beautiful and I love your confidence. Your confidence is something that I wish I've had, like, have as a cis male or whatever, right? He didn't say cis male, girl, because we black over here, girl. No tea, no shade, but I'm just, you know, speaking. But, like, he basically said that, like, you know, it's something about you that attracted me to you, and I accept you for everything that you are. And I said, he basically said, I accept you with or without makeup. I accept you with or without, like, anything. Like, we went out in public a while ago or whatever, right? And, you know, long story short, I wasn't looking like, you know, this fabulous, beautiful transsexual. And he wasn't sitting over here ducking and dodging. He was just like, yeah, come on, let's go. Let's go outside. I'm like, boy, stop. Like, I feel like Nicki Minaj. Like, is this my man? Like, stop. But it's like you have to still love yourself even without a man's validation, even without a man sitting over here loving you for you. You have to be your own boyfriend sometimes, okay? You will never be happy if you don't face all your childhood trauma and all the trauma that's in your head. You need to learn why you feel some type of way and why you want to transition and why you feel this way and you want to do that and you hate this about yourself. You need to take accountability as a trans woman, because for you to be able to keep pushing in this world and keep pushing and constantly keep fighting as a trans person, you need to have accountability. You need to sit over and have self-assurance. You need to be able to keep pushing. I will constantly say that you have to keep pushing. You have to keep locking in. You can't be soft. You can't be a soft trans woman. I'm a very strong, independent trans woman. I fight for my rights. I don't care how anybody feels. I don't care if anybody judges me. I'm going to constantly get up and fight for myself. I will always fight for myself. I'm beautiful. I'm black and I'm trans. I love that about me. Why would I want to be anything different? I'm not going to hide myself for anybody. I love myself and I wouldn't want to be anything different. All I'm going to say is you have to keep locking in. You have to keep pushing. And for my detransitioners, yes, your story is valid, but it gets to a certain point where did you even really love yourself? Like, a lot of people are depressed. You have to learn why you're depressed. Why I was depressed is because I'm trying to seek external validation when I need to just love myself. There's times where I'm going to hate the way I look in the mirror, but who gives a f? Who cares? Like, who cares if somebody doesn't like me? I'm just going to do what makes me happy. I'm Alizea. I'm black and I'm trans and I'm beautiful, and I will always stand on that. I love my Buki Bears, and you know, this video is very controversial, but I really just want to sit over and tell my detransitioners, my trans women, my cis women, my just people who are watching this, you are too beautiful to sit over here and live for everybody else and to see love from other people. Why don't you love yourself? And this is something that I'm going to sit over here and rewatch. Like, I love myself enough to just keep pushing. Like, baby, I'm Alizea. I'm too beautiful to sit over here and try to seek a male's validation. Like, girl, I got to be out of my goddamn mind and sit over and try to chase a man. You got to be crazy. I love you guys. Stream Nicki Minaj, bada bing, bada boom. I'm your favorite black transsexual. Get up into the big purr, whatever. I hope this video doesn't get taken down or flagged, but yeah, bada bing, bada boom. I'm going to talk to you guys later. Bye, loves.